Hi, my name is Crystal Smith, and welcome to the So You're a Single Parent, Now What podcast. Thank you for joining me. I am so glad that you are here. My name is Crystal Smith. I'm your host. A little bit about myself. I have a brand called Six Figure Single Mom. The Six Figure Single Mom brand is less about the money, right? Because I know when we think about six figures, we go straight to the money. So the Six Figure Single Mom brand is less about the money, and it's more about your mindset shift. So thank you so much for joining me. When you shift your mindset, the money automatically comes. I mean, sometimes we don't understand that, but it's so true. So in my business, Six Figure Single Mom, what I do is I career coach professional working single parents whenever they feel stuck in their careers and they feel like they can't advance. So what I do is teach them how to leverage their skill sets so that they can maximize their earning potential. So leveraging your skill sets, leveraging your expertise, leveraging your experience so that you can maximize your coin, right? So that's what it's all about. I wanted to start a podcast specifically related to single parents because I am a single parent. The Six Figure Single Mom brand is exactly who I am. I am a six-figure single mom. In my experience, I've had to work very hard. And in my experience, I have encountered a lot of other single parents who have worked just as hard as me. So I felt that it would be great to start a podcast for dope single parents who just are doing life and are doing life great, right? So I would always have people approaching me, single parents, both men and women. They would always comment about me traveling for work. I used to heavily travel for work. And they would always approach me and ask me, how are you doing all the things? How are you traveling for work? How do you have your daughter? How are you working out at the gym all the time, right? So I would always share with them kind of some tips and tricks, some strategies that I would use in order to maximize my time management. So after a while, I thought, man, why don't we make this a broader conversation through podcast? So a lot of times they would ask me, how are you working a 9 to 5 and how are you able to advance in your career? How are you able to be an entrepreneur but be heavily involved in your church? How do you serve on nonprofit organization boards? How do you travel personally? How do you volunteer? The list goes on. And guess what? Be a single mom. So I always get those questions, and I thought it would be a great idea to get the conversation going because let's face it, there are a lot of single parent homes. And unless we find a community, a supportive community of people like us that get it, we will find ourselves feeling alone. We'll find ourselves feeling like we can't go on or like we are the only ones. So this community is for single parents who are doing life, who are crushing it. And it's also for those single parents who are doing life that want to crush it, right? So you are in the right place if that is you. So this podcast is creating a positive and safe space for single parents to come and enjoy some content. So single parents sometimes can feel like they are not heard. They can feel like they are not seen. They can feel like they don't have all the answers. They can feel like they don't have all the resources. So whenever thinking about this podcast, I thought, man, it would be a great idea if we could all come together and just, get into a space where we are not judged. The world has everything to say about single parents. Let me say that again. The world has everything to say about single parents. But unless you know who you are, which is being self-aware, unless you know your own strengths and weaknesses, unless you know how to leverage your own skill sets, unless you know how to authentically be yourself, then it's like the old saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So I want this podcast to be something special. I want it to be some place that you come every week to be affirmed. I want this podcast to be somewhere you come to say, you know what? Before I listened to the podcast tonight or this morning, I was feeling drained. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling defeated. I was feeling like I couldn't go on. But after listening to that podcast, I have a few more skills in my tool belt. that I can go out into the world and actually implement, right? So implementation is very important. In my business, when I career coach my clients, I always let them know success is definitely not something that you stumble into. Very seldomly do people stumble into success. I don't care what anybody says. There is a recipe to success. Come closer. There is a recipe for success, right? So you can work hard, you can do all the things, you can show up, but as single parents, we have to honestly have a competitive advantage if we want to maximize our earning potential. And that's what it's all about, providing a great life for your children, providing a space where they can come and feel safe as well, so that they can advance in life altogether. So that's what this podcast is all about. In this podcast, I feel very proud to say that I found a way, to advance myself. So when I first graduated from college, I obtained a bachelor's degree from Sam Houston State University in the Huntsville, Texas. And I obtained my bachelor's degree. I quickly realized after only making $32,500 the first year out of college that I was going to need more. And I very quickly realized that. So straight out of college, I already knew. And let me just back up. So I graduated high school at 17. When I graduated, I immediately went to college because I've always wanted to be a career woman. I've always had a dream and a desire to just do more, to be more. So when I graduated, I started at the community college. But when I obtained my bachelor's degree, after having my daughter, I realized that the money that I was making wasn't going to be enough if I wanted to sustain myself. A lot of people may look at $32,500 as a lot of money back then, but I'll be honest, I had to do a lot of strategic things in order to survive. One of those things was house hacking before it even became a thing. So I had a roommate. And my roommate and I split the rent. That was one of the ways that I could easily save money, right? So there are lots of things that we can do as single parents to create that safe space and that competitive advantage. But we've got to be intentional. Intentionality is something that I am very, very, very big on, just because we have to have a plan. Whenever you are going through life, always remember that when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's just the bottom line of it. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you have to have a plan. So I've always prided myself on just having a plan and also strategizing in that plan. When I strategize in that plan, I find that I'm able to execute it just a little bit more, a little bit better. And that's what works for me. Everybody has their own way, right? So don't do what I did. Don't do what someone else did. We can all learn from each other's mistakes. Always try to find your way, because what works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. So that strategizing, that planning piece is so important. And then once you do that, we have to schedule things out. So like I said, intentionality is very important. Scheduling is very important. I work in the oil and gas industry. I'm a cost analyst, the cost accountant. And in my job, what I find a lot of times is that we are in a lot of meetings. Now, in these meetings, they have planners, and the planners, they are the ones that schedule out the work. So the planners take a lot of time piecing together the activities that it's going to take to complete a project. Then they'll have, cost analysts to come in to tell them how much it's going to cost to complete the project. That's where I come in. And then they have executors. So the executors are the staff that work in the field that complete the construction piece. And then they'll have the commissioning team that comes in at the very end just to validate that everything was done correctly. So when I say there is a recipe for success, please believe there is a recipe for success. So in that, I've learned a lot of things. Working in your industry can teach you a lot of things. So I'm an entrepreneur, and I said that at the very beginning. I'm an entrepreneur, but I also have a 9 to 5. I feel very proud to say that I work a 9 to 5 as well as I'm an entrepreneur. Initially, I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I never desired to be an entrepreneur, right? Because all we knew back in the day was that you could either be an entrepreneur or have a 9 to 5. When I realized that you could do both, that was a game changer for me. That was it. That was all I needed. So in your 9 to 5, there are plenty of skills that are transferable. And that's what I've leveraged over the years. I have leveraged the fact that in my 9 to 5, a lot of my skill sets are transferable to my entrepreneurship journey. So that's a very big thing as well. In single parenting, it's very important for us to understand that our lives are not the same as a traditional family, and that's okay. In the single parenting journey, I've learned that my daughter is my family. So a lot of times some people will try to make you feel as though you don't have a family when you're a single parent. They'll say, oh, you're a single parent and you have kids. Well, my kids are my family. So always remember that too. Your children are your family. And always take pride in that because your children love you unconditionally. So in doing things the non-traditional way, you'll find yourself sometimes kind of frustrated because you feel like you have to do above and beyond, or you feel like you have to do a little bit more. But I want you guys to understand this. Discipline and endurance will take you a long way. When you think about all the positive things that you have going on in your life, I am a big advocate for people thinking about all the positive things that are going on in their lives. It is so easy to think about all the negative things that are going on in your lives. Let's face it. It is so easy to think about all the negative things that are going on in your lives. But once you start to think about the positive aspects of your life, you will realize that most of the time they outweigh the negative things that are going on. So that's the great thing, right, about this journey and about learning and about self-awareness as well. So some of the topics that I will cover on this single parent podcast will be things like lifestyle, right? So time management, networking, finances, relationships. Now, when I talk about relationships, that could be anything relational. So relationships with family, it could be relationships with friends, it could be relationships in dating, because that's a big component of the single parent journey as well that comes up every now and then. I'll be honest, some single parents choose to not date, and that's okay. Whatever works for you, works for you. The time management piece is a big one for me, just because, like I said, as single parents, we have got to be intentional and we have got to find ways to maximize our time. We don't have a lot of it. There's not two of us, so it's not like we can switch off. So when we get home, we don't have a person that we can say, hey, can you do homework while I cook dinner? So you have to be very strategic. And if you don't have that, that's okay. I've never had that. I've been a single mom since the day I had my daughter. Actually, I've been a single mom since I was pregnant. So I've always had to be strategic with my time. When we talk about networking, what I mean by that is networking is not just on the job. Networking is outside of the job as well. So networking with family, networking with friends, those could be big game changers because let's be honest, we can't do it alone. In single parenting, we can't do it alone. We are doing it alone, but it takes a village to raise a child. That is a very true statement. So the ways that you network will start to impact, actually, and affect your child as well. Finances is all me. That's my lane. That's what I love to talk about. Finances is a big one. So when we learn how to work our finances and actually make our finances work for us, then we live a less frustrated and stressful life. I'll be honest, when you have your finances together, you are happy, you are proud, you are thankful that you actually have your stuff together. So finances is going to be a big one that we'll talk about because, again, our salaries are divided by however many children we have. So I always tell people, although I'm a six-figure single mom, my salary is divided by 2 because I have a child to take care of. And, over the span of raising a child, statistics and studies show that it takes upwards of $250,000 over the span of your child's life until they get 18 to raise a child. That's on the lower end. So the way that we operate our finances, that matters too. So going forward on this podcast, I like to categorize it as 3 components. So we will touch on lifestyle, we will touch on career, we'll touch on single parenting. So what you can expect to hear is very focused content on single parenting. And the reason why I'm doing that is because that's my lane, that's what I understand, and that's what I've been speaking for 15 years now. My daughter is 15 years old. I am a very proud mom. I only have one daughter, and all the things that I have implemented as I am raising her and as I have been raising her have been very successful things. And so I want to share it with you. Why not? Why not empower the single parent community? Because when I learn something, and my family knows that I'm really big on this, when I learn something, they know something. So that's what you can expect to hear and see. You can expect to see helpful career and lifestyle hacks. So some things that have worked for me over time, over my career and in my lifestyle. You can also expect to change your mindset to a winning mindset. So again, as we are single parents, we are always feeling like we are alone. We are always feeling defeated in sometimes. And we are always feeling like sometimes like we can't go on. Well, I want you to change that. I want you to have a winning mindset. I want you to look at yourself, and I want you to already imagine yourself winning. Everything starts in the mind, and the body follows. So if you imagine yourself winning, automatically you'll start winning. And it's not the big things. I always encourage people to know that it's not the big things. It's the small things sometimes that you'll start winning in life in, but those small things add up to big things. So those are important things as well. You'll also expect to boss up a little bit in how you approach certain things. So I love to sit with my friends and just have sessions where I talk strategy. Sometimes my friends love it. Sometimes they're like, Crystal, you cannot stop talking business. And I can't, because when I think about helping people, when I think about making an impact, I am proud of that. I am proud to say that someone impacted my life, so I'm able to impact other people's lives as well. So I always like to stand by that, right? So again, my name is Crystal Smith. I am your host. If you are not following me, I would love for you to follow me on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is at sixfiguresinglemom.com. I would also like for you to follow my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Six Figure Single Mom. I would like for you to subscribe to the channel. Also like, share, and comment on the video. There'll be a lot of helpful videos coming up. I noticed that a lot of people like talking finances as it relates to successful tips, and a lot of people like talking career. So things that they can do to advance their career and maximize their earning potential. Again, when you're not frustrated with money, you are enjoying life. You are doing all the things. So that's what we'll be talking about here. Also, share this video with any other moms that you know, any other single dads that you know, because I want this to be an inclusive community. You know, sometimes I feel like we are always pouring into the single moms. But in this podcast, I want to be very clear, and I want to be very intentional to be inclusive of the single dads out there as well. I'll be honest. I have a lot of male friends that are single dads. And I mean, their children stay with them. They are single dads. So I definitely want to get some information out to the single dads as well. The single parent community is comprised of men and women, and that's something that I want to do. So again, my Instagram handle is at the Six Figure Single Mom. My website is www.sixfiguresinglemom.com. Visit the website. Take a look around. And also like, comment, and subscribe on this video. So I will always end the podcast with 3 affirmations. So tonight, to this morning, whenever you are listening to this podcast, the 3 affirmations that I have for you are: I am worthy, I am enough, I am valued, and I matter in this world. So if no one else has told you that today, I did. Always remember, you are worthy, you are enough, you are valued, and you matter in this world. So always, always, always remember that you are not alone in this either. This single parent podcast is definitely for you. So I always like to end my podcast also with: change starts with you. So be the change that you want to see in the world. Until next time, this is Crystal Smith, your host, also known as the Six Figure Single Mom, checking out. Bye.